I'm at 17.
We had our second kid in quarantine.
Nice.
That was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember reading about how there's going to be a bunch of COVID babies because, married couples are all home together.
Yeah.
I was like, not if they had a kid during quarantine because that's the ultimate form of birth control right there.
We're not adding another one.
Never again.
I know my wife had a dream about one. I was like, oh, no. You had a dream. I gotta confirm
I do not
that.
confirm that dream.
Did you seal the deal? Did you get the final snip?
No.
No?
No.
It's not as bad as you think.
Yeah. Dude, I had mine scheduled, but they rescheduled on me, and I told Steph, I was like, man, that's a sign. And she's like, yeah, it's a sign you need to reschedule.
It's a sign you need to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, I feel like everybody had more time to just kind of dive into all these topics. Like, everybody's investing now. Like, everybody's into Robinhood and stocks.
yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
We're now talking about aliens. Like, that's like a big topic. Have you guys heard people talking about aliens?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tell me what you've heard.
Well, I've gone down the rabbit hole, or 50 YouTube videos later, I'm like, whoa, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I need to go to bed.
Oh,
So what's your take, man?
No comment. But it's so true. It's we've had this time on our hands, and just the power of influence that these voices have in our life,
Right.
especially for men, man. That I've seen friends get borderline radicalized over this last year, where it's like, whoa, I'll see a post and I'm like, wow, you actually believe that? You're actually gonna say that?
Right.
And you sprinkle in politics, you sprinkle in a virus that became politics somehow, and you sprinkle in, the racial tensions. It was just such a crazy year. And then for me, it went through all the year, thought we got through COVID, and then I ended up losing my mother-in-law on Christmas Eve. And so this whole year of going back and forth of, the virus became more like an opinion. And then I saw this reality of and that was a reality check for me, because I was like, wow, that's a very real thing that has impacted my family for years. And then you still have people arguing whether if it's real or not. And then it just it all became so convoluted, and I realized, what do I actually believe? I mean, some people, I'll say some things too, I'm with this group of people, I know they believe that. So I don't want to make any waves, so I'm just going to go, But when you really boil that down, it's like, man, where is my foundation as a Christian man? And where do I stand up and speak? Where do I do the, But it was just a year of really finding out where my foundation was and having it shook quite a bit.
Did you get distracted, Joel, down any of the rabbit holes?
no, but a lot of the guys and the people in my community group did. I feel like there's a lot of people that have talked about it. Even just the people that I'm around, they just are believing all these things and wanting to find out more information, or just saying crazy headline stuff. And I'm like, how did you get to that point? And it's just, I feel like it's been weird. I think throughout COVID, I think we've heard more of that. I don't think that's something that most people talked about, but I think maybe just with us being inside, not having that much social interaction, this is the stuff that was so interesting to us. But
Right.
it for sure is it's weird. A lot of that of wow, you really believe that? That's cool.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I think we've just gotten distracted from why we're here on Earth. What's our purpose? And what are we supposed to be doing with our time and energy and resources? I think a lot of things were more clear before, and it's gotten a lot muddier. The world's changed a lot in the last year or so. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely felt like I had to work harder to stay focused on God, work harder to make sure my time with Him was good and rich. I don't know about you guys.
Oh yeah. This year was every good, healthy routine I had was just, thrown out the window, because my commute became 5 steps from my bed to my desk. And, my house was my work, where I was a dad, all that stuff. And, all that translated to extra time, which I don't know about you guys, but when I have extra time, it's not a good thing because I don't naturally go towards healthy routines. So that was like the first thing that kind of destabilized me, I think, this year for sure, was the healthy routines that I had of reading and, you know, going to church every weekend and stuff like that. It became, you know, a little more optional where it's like, you know what, I got an extra hour, I'll do it then. But then just didn't seem to end up doing that. Instead, I would watch YouTube videos about aliens for hours on end.
Yeah.
Because home is more comfortable,
Right.
and we became comfortable and not complacent, but just it was different. So I don't have to go out, I don't have to do these things. So now I got more time to just hang out because home is where I hang out.
Right.
I don't do
Yeah.
all these constructive things, you know. So after about a month or so, then it was like, you know what? I think I need to, we're going to go to church. We're going to watch church. Let's move it to the couch or this area. This is the area we're going to go to church. Let's go back to utilize the dinner table because we'd always eat at the, you know, in front of the TV, and now church is in front of the TV, and now we're eating in front of the TV. And what's that over there for? It's the dinner table. Let's go do that, you know.
Yeah.
And so you're getting real comfortable, and I find that, you know, as we were getting comfortable, as far, leading my kids and watching how comfortable they were getting. My son is sleeping like way more hours a day, and I fixed everything I could fix the first month from Home Depot or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All the chores are done. The house is perfect now. What else can we do? But it's like, you know what? I have to lead him, and I have to lead my daughter. And then with all the things that we're believing, and you know, all these different, you know, scenarios of what's going on and realities and, you know, things going on, I saw kids, because I work with kids, I could see the kids having anxiety, and the things that they were feeling was coming from their parents. Because you see the kid and then you see how the parent reacts, and that just checked me in that, okay, whatever I'm doing,
Right.
I have to make sure my kids don't fall into that. I have to keep everything as normal for them as possible. So I need to make sure that I'm taking church serious
Right.
as I normally would, and I normally do.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're watching that. And so going through this was really trying to be an example to them about this is how you can handle it, and you don't have to be depressed, because a lot of kids are being depressed. They can't go out and see their friends. And
Right.
I made sure that, you know, you can talk to your friends. Let's go visit a couple of them. So you have this normalcy while we're going through this pandemic. So while everything outside is going,
Yeah.
you know, I'm keeping it sane for my kids.
Right.
Just, hey, you don't have to react like this. This is what's going on. We've seen that. Yes, we know what's going on. And I'm making them aware. This is what's going on out there, but this is how we're dealing with it.
Yeah.
And you let God be the center of that and direct them. And so we didn't really fall into that pattern of, you know, depression and having to worry about things. And, you know, God has given us his favor in this time. And even with the loss, you know, I lost my best friend to 15 years, and we raised our kids together, and that was tough. So I can imagine you and your mother-in-law, you know, having lost during this time and then losing our focus, like the virus, especially with the people, is it real?
Right.
Because it wasn't real until it hit home.
Right.
And I had friends saying that, I don't know what to think or whatever, but then I know people who had somebody die, and then it affects me personally too, and it's like, it's real. How are we going to deal with it from this aspect of somebody who's dealing with it and knows it's real? And then somebody who doesn't know, then you at least could have respect that there's got to be something to it. You know, we know politics is behind a lot of stuff, or we're assuming, or, you know, what we believe.
Seems
but
to be.
Right.
it
Yeah.
seems to be
for sure.
the theory seems to be, you know,
Right.
but what do we really know? And if we don't really know, we have to at least come alongside our brother and sister and just say, hey, I respect your opinion.
Right.
I respect what you're going through. I can pray for you going through this,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
and help each other out.
Joel, how was it for you? You got married during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So like,
What?
like
Yeah.
leading a family like for the first time. You know.
Yeah.
You and your wife.
Yeah, this isn't how marriage is supposed to start in a pandemic. That's not normal.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think just generally, and I think this is probably true for a lot of people, but I think I personally realized just how shallowly disciplined I am. Because I think without all these external pressures and just the reality of kind of like, oh, I got to think about what that person's thinking of me, or like I'm doing these spiritual disciplines like going to church because I'm doing it with my family, or I'm reading my Bible because I'm trying to I don't know, be smart in my small I don't know. Like, I think there's a lot of shallow motives for why we would be disciplined. And I think just in being married and just having that kind of just that mirror of myself right in front of me and right in front of me so much, just because we're inside so much and we're together all the time. I think it was just a big just reality check of, wow, you're not as disciplined as maybe you thought. And I think even just as COVID has gone around, I think I felt myself go into like several, like, I feel like seasons of like, okay, I'm like super disciplined, like I'm in the Word, I'm like physically fit, like I'm exercising, and like 2 months later, I'm like in a season of like, oh, I'm not doing these things, I'm not as disciplined as I thought I would be, and then I'm back. I just felt like there was so many different seasons that I would find myself in, and just, I don't know if that's normal. I think just because we had COVID, and I think just us being inside so much and being so much to ourselves and wrestling with ourselves, we have felt so many different seasons that maybe we wouldn't have normally felt. So
yeah, and I think when things change, it exposes the reality, right? Like, it exposes what's really there or not there. And just like with anything in life, we have ultimately will hit hard times if it'll be something else the next time, you know, and it exposes the chinks in our armor, you know, like the places where we can kind of get stabbed in a battle, and there's gaps and missing things that like we maybe didn't know were there, or maybe I love what you said just about the external. Like, we do so much because of how it's viewed by other people, right? Like, I'm going to do the right things because other people are watching, or I serve at church because I got to be there anyway. And man, I'm telling you, it was hard to get volunteers this last year. Like, hey, we're still it's still a church, you know, like we're still out like here, reaching the world, you know, and everybody just like took a year off, and that was challenging. Because the external pressures, you know. And so us finding as men, like, who are we really? You know, what are we grounded in? Where are our roots deep, and where are they shallow? You know? And I think it's important if we're going to last, because this is just one thing amongst many, right? You know? Earl and I have a few more years, and we've seen more of the ups and downs. You know, of what happens in life.
I love what you say about the reality. Like, I think if anything, 2020 showed me the reality of life is that it's hard. And like, it's painful because, dude, we did everything right. We quarantined, or we did the 6 feet apart. We were super cautious with my mother-in-law, and reality still struck home. And that's when it hit me, where I think as men, we think like, I'm doing everything right. Like, I'm in the Word. I am doing things right. You know, why is life so hard? And why is God doing this to me? And I think and it finally clicked, where it's like, oh man, this is a fallen world. And when my foundation is a political party, I have no solace when my mother-in-law dies.
That's wishy-washy.
Like, you think Donald Trump's gonna call me and comfort me? No. Or whoever I vote for? No. And like, do you think that whatever organization other than the church, like, you know who brought us dinners? The church. And it was one day it was a very liberal person, one day it was a very conservative person. It was, you know, all kinds of different types of people, different ages, different races, and it just clicked, man. Like, if we have to get serious about our foundation, because the reality is society is cruel. And when you align yourself with it, your roots are so thin. And the church is the hope of the world, man. And it doesn't change. Like, I saw opinions change. I saw people. I got whiplash trying to keep up with people's opinion. I was like, wait, hold on.
I don't know what you believe.
I was trying to connect the dots, but it was so inconsistent. But I found that God is so consistent, and He wants us as men to be that consistency and that stability in our homes, and just how important that was this year. And how that's for every man, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think that's why it was so easy for so many of us, so many people here, to just sink our teeth into conspiracy theories, or even just these different divides, because I think deep down inside, we have this desire for the security of truth.
Dude.
And we're trying to like, oh, I support this organization, like I'm with other people, we're doing this, or I'm going down this rabbit hole, and I'm gonna find the truth. Like as many articles as I read, as many videos that I watch, and I think what people are finding out is that there's always going to be more things that we don't know, and there's going to be more things that we're trying to find out. And I feel confident and comfortable just like knowing the truth of the gospel and our faith in Jesus, and just how he's been over everything, and just the trust and faith in that, I think, has helped keep me at least like afloat during this time when so many people are, again, trying to find truth. And because I think it's deep down, we just want that sense of security and safety. But
so you're trying to put your trust in man, in a sense.
Right.
And the Bible says, don't put your trust in man because he's going to let you down.
Right.
And men are the leader of those foundations or those, organizations or parties or whatever that you're trusting in. And when you put your trust in that and you hold on to it, like you said, it's going to let you down. And you come to find out that Jesus is the truth. Simply believing in Jesus and the word will keep you grounded as long as you're faithful to that, because you're seeing that the church is supporting you.
Right.
At that time it's coming to you. When it comes down to it, the church is there for you. And all of these other political parties or friends or foundations or whatever, they're going to fail. But they are going to fail because the Bible says man will let you down. But we constantly seek for the truth. We constantly try and go through those rabbit holes, forgetting that they're going to let me down. We're not thinking about that. It's like, no, they got the truth. I'm going to run for that. No, they're right. I got to go with that.
Right.
But you got to remember, at some point, they're going to let you down.
Right.
Because each party's whoever's doing something good. There is something good in there. They're doing something good, but then there's always something that's not good. And it's like,
It's not the ultimate good.
Yes.
It's not the ultimate truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're going to find that with Jesus, that,
Yep.
there's always good.
Yep.
And it's all going to be good. And he's going to be there and never let you down.
And it's the only thing that works, right?
Yes.
I mean, even just at a practical level, like when we lost Noble last year, like we had amazing people surrounding us. We were loved on by so many people. People encouraging me when I was discouraged, but there's nothing that replaces God's comfort and love. There's nothing other than that.
Yeah.
You could line up speakers for me all day long, but like me just connecting with him, being solid in his truth, knowing that his word says that this life is not the end, that there's an eternity, and that's what matters most. And those things really test your foundations to see if they're real or not, and life is going to sift us as men, right?
Yeah.
We lose jobs. We have fights with our spouse that we all of a sudden have to eat humble pie, even though we think we're right.
Yeah.
Troubles with kids, troubles at work, troubles at church. Pastor didn't do it I thought he should do. I mean, there's all this stuff, and you just watch people they just kind of slide away. They just get carried off by the conspiracy or the disappointment or the sadness or whatever it is. And we have to look at our roots, like how deep are they? Are they actually deep enough to sustain us when tragedy hits, when life gets disrupted, when I lose my job, when the world goes nuts for a year and maybe stays nuts, and it's important for us. And I love when we get times like this together where we can kind of recenter ourselves on what actually matters, not just our opinions.
Yeah, and there's so many levels to it, right? And like that's what society, I feel like society's job lately is to just stand in the way of every level as a man, because like we're constantly getting that influence from the outside. And like we've all kind of touched on, it's so easy to just be like, it's almost like we forget, and then we're like, we know that it's not the truth, but we're still gonna do it anyway, and then be like, I already knew that this wasn't gonna work, but I tried it anyway.
Right.
But like that, and that's what's so important about meeting together and going through all these specific things and checking each other as men, because I mean that's why we're all in this together, right? To help each other examine the stuff that we can't see. I could have paint on my face and I wouldn't even know. Right. That's why I need you guys.
Yeah.
And that's what's so important about Men's Advance, because we can be there for each other.
Absolutely.
And we're not gonna grow unless we can have this fellowship, and iron sharpens iron. And we need that fellowship, because I'm in my house with my family, but there's nobody else. Like, I can't talk to my wife about everything that I want to, or advice on how to be a man.
Amen.
Right? I can tell my son.
If your wife and kids are telling you how to be a man, you're in trouble. Right?
And I'm not fulfilling God's call.
Yeah. Yeah, you need another man to tell you what it looks like to be a man, right?
Yeah.
And if you're getting crazy and you're like going off the deep end, you need somebody to
hey, somebody to reel me in, somebody to check me, make sure, hey, you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. Calm down, But
And I think the sad reality is, I think ideally we would all, if we just sat here and just didn't do anything, we'd all just float to holiness, right? But in reality, it's when we're isolated and we're not being checked by community that we go towards sin. And I think it's so important to have community, because we need other guys to reel us back in and to, hey, why are you doing that? Or like, what are you doing to your family, and bringing that back in. I think, community is so important, because we'll just float off into whatever our flesh sends us to.
Yeah.
Dan Crowley was talking to me the other day, and we were just talking about other things that are distractions that you pursue, and he called them false consolations. And I thought it was just so wise. When something goes wrong, things aren't as they're supposed to be. We want to appease ourselves. Maybe it's a vice that we get attached to. A lot of guys, substances or hobbies or whatever, and that becomes our false consolation. It's what's supposed to fulfill me and bring me joy and contentment, and it just doesn't. Like, it's a disappointing thing. And it could be attaching to an idea or a party or, I know the truth about this topic or whatever, but it all ends up being disappointing, right? It doesn't fulfill that need we have deep down to live lives of purpose.
Yeah.
Where God's called men to be courageous, to break through the walls of what society's telling us to do and to be a certain way, right? And he's laid that out for us in his word. We know what we're supposed to do, but then we're like, I just got kind of pulled away. Like they got the thing just kind of dragging you aside. And man, it's such a critical piece.
Yeah, and another beautiful thing, Joel, that you were kind of touching on with community is like, we're not called to go after the people that look just like us and think just like us. And I think that's what we've done over this past year is like, I'm not going to listen to something that has a different opinion than me.
Right.
Because I have the choice to not have to hear that I'm wrong. So we've all just like drifted into our
Google
own.
knows too, and they just keep feeding you the same stuff
You want to hear, And it's like, dude, we need that community where you're sitting across the table from a guy who has the complete opposite political opinion as you, complete opposite upbringing. Like, you need that perspective. And I think that's what we've been neutered of in 2020 is I control my Google search, and I don't want to be told I'm wrong. So I want to get in that echo chamber and get gassed up that I'm doing everything right, And I think that's something that we've lost too, in that loss of community and that isolation, is that other perspective that is just so vital. For us as men.
And when we're in the echo chamber, we get stuck there and we can't deal with other things. So I found myself like in these conversations where we're just all affirming each other's way of thinking, but we're not growing. We're not becoming better disciples. We're not pushing each other toward Jesus. We're just patting each other on the back and saying, you're right, they're wrong. Like, that's not helpful. And small group can even become that. We gather together and we just want to go off on all the things in society. Well, that's not what God's called us to do. He's called us to follow Jesus. And Jesus, everybody's mobbing against him, right? There's this, he's amazing, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, and then they're ready to kill him the next week. Don't follow the culture. Like, he's living a life of discipline and sacrifice and showing us the way to be with God. And like, that's who we follow, because he's stable when we're not stable.
That's so true, man.
Yeah, so I think it's just good. I'm excited about the conversations we're going to have, just to zero in on what it looks like to be a man. How do we stay grounded and rooted? And I appreciate you guys being willing to just take time and talk through it. And thanks.
For sure.
Yeah.